If you're a business or practice owner that's growing your business month over month, when should you, number one, start taking out money from the business? And number two, begin to start actively invest that money? Now, these are some of the questions that our passive investor circle members frequently ask me. Now, in order to join this exclusive group, you have to be an accredited investor, which means that either you make $200,000 a year if you're single, or make $300,000 a year or more if you're married, and or you have $1 million net worth, which does not include your primary residence. Now, people in this group, they make good money and they may have 300,000, 500,000, $1 million or more already sitting around the bank, yet they call me, they email me because they're not sure what to do with this money. So what I'd like to do in today's video is walk you through the thought process that I've had around investing to give you some sort of framework to think through that's going to help you make the decision process much, much easier. Now, if you're new to this channel, I'm Dr. Jeff Anzalone, a periodontist that helps doctors and other high-income professionals grow income streams to reach financial independence using real estate investments. Now, if you're just now getting started, I've actually put together a free passive income guide for you that you can actually get below this video. Just click on the link. So first off, I'm big about making the process of saving and investing money as easy as possible. Why go through life making things complicated if they don't have to be, right? And it's important to have your focus on what you know best, which is going to be your job or your career, and then set up to have money coming out of your business and into accounts that are earmarked for certain things, such as, like for us, we like to travel. So money's earmarked to go for travel, vacations. If you have kids like we have, you're going to have to get cars. Or if you don't have kids, then you're going to have to get cars down the road. So again, money comes out automatically into these different accounts, or money will come out and go into accounts that are longer term investments, such as real estate. Again, this is set up each month to happen automatically. You don't even have to think about it. And what's cool about this is the more your business or practice grows, if you're like me and you're self-employed, or the more that you make if you're an employee, the more that you can take out each month to help to accelerate your wealth. Now, in my opinion, it's much better to consistently take money out of the business account, again, automatically, as you start to grow it or as it continues to grow. So that's the first step, which is making sure that we're taking money out of the account, of the business, of the practice, whatever, that this is done on a consistent basis. If not, you're going to do what the majority of people do when your income goes up. And what is that? It's going to be spend it. So now the second question is, okay, Jeff, now that I have this money, this 200,000 or 500,000 or whatever, just sitting around, what should I do with it? Well, first off, congratulations. If this is you, if this is your situation, then this is a great problem to have. I'm sure there's probably many people that would like to have this problem. Where should I invest all of this money? Good problem. And so one of the big things is to think about this through the lens of your opportunity cost, which I know that probably you're not already doing that, but you need to figure out if this is going to be the right thing to do looking through this particular lens. Now, for me as a passive real estate investor, let's use that as an example, okay? So if you're making, let's say, 300,000 a year, and you've got 500,000 saved up, which is not uncommon, which is not an uncommon type of person that joins our group. You're making 300,000, you got 500K saved up somewhere, and if you were to invest that money in a real estate syndication, which is what we like to do, then you should be able to double your money anywhere from 5 to 6 years, right? If you don't know about that, there's actually some video links below that talk about real estate syndication. And if you did this, if you invested in this, that would put you earning around total annualized income on this investment 18 to 20%. Now, if I'm doing that, then the advantage of, and so I'm doing that passively, okay? So if I'm doing that, then the advantage of actively investing in real estate would need to make a lot more sense with earnings, right? So if I look at it in terms of purely on how much my net worth is going to increase, which is the lens that we have to look through, which is again this opportunity cost. Okay, so if I were to spend um, like half of my time thinking about actively investing, because with real estate and what I know, it's going to take up at least half of your your brain or your mind space. I can promise you, because I've made this mistake before. Then what happens is your active income will typically fall at a disproportionate rate compared to what your money is making you at your job or whatever. So let me walk you through and give you a numbers example. So again, let's say you've got that 500 grand saved up and you can get 18% a year in a syndication, which 18% of 500K. So we got 500K, 18%. This is going to give you $90,000 per year. All right. Now, not too bad, right? So, how much more of a return would it make sense to actively invest in real estate? I don't know about you, but earning 18% while pretty much doing nothing ain't too shabby. I'm not an active real estate investor, but personally, I know many people that are in my hometown. And after being with them, talking with them, seeing what they go through, after learning what these different syndication groups, their team, I mean, it basically requires you to have a pretty much a full-time job if you want to do it right. I'm not talking about going to buy a $100,000 single family home. I'm talking about buying big, large apartment complexes, hotels, self-storage, etc. So if you're currently making 300,000 a year from your business, do you think it would be reasonable to take half, or let's say 25% of your time to go and chase active real estate deals when you can get into deals that are paying you 18% or more and you double your money every 5 to 6 years? I don't know, but for me, that's how I look at that opportunity cost of actively investing. And for you, that's working full time. If you're working full time at your career, is it worth actively investing and taking time away from treating patients or doing whatever it is that is bringing in the main source of income, which is going to be you? And at this point, I probably guess that that wouldn't be the case. And so for me, as a self-employed practice owner here, it's my belief that you should be taking out cash, taking it out on a regular basis, because that's the downside risk protection. It's not your upside, it's your downside protection. And also the likelihood that the likelihood that I'm going to sell this practice or you're going to sell your practice or business for this huge number probably is extremely low. And so you take this money out and you put it into something such as a private syndication deal. Okay. And again, video link is below, but in essence, you put it in something passive like a syndication because number one, you can pool your money in with others called limited partners. You're a passive investor. It's passive. And what's cool about this is even though you put this money in and it's passive, you still get many of the tax advantages that if you were an active real estate investor. And You do that, you go all through all this whole process, and once your money's, once you've done the process of your due diligence and who to invest with with the syndicator that runs a syndication, it's really little to think about after that, over that whole period. Now, most of the financial gurus out there, they're going to tell you typically that you need an emergency fund of, I'd say, 3 to 6 months to cover your personal expenses. I don't know about you, but for me, to sleep better at night, I've chosen to go a little bit more than that, 10 to 12 months of expenses saved, especially what our country and our world went through during the pandemic in 2020 when everything shut down. And so for busy professionals, physicians, dentists, attorneys, pharmacists, engineers, whatever, it's my belief that you should be focused on investing the majority of your time and energy in growing your income, which again, that's the main vehicle that you have, and extracting the money and putting it into a low brain vehicle. Okay? Focus on your doctor, focus on becoming a better doctor and putting your money into stuff that you don't really have to think about. So in return, you can focus on what is going to allow you to grow your money. Now, you want to put these again into something that's little thinking about, low brain vehicle, something that's not active, but again, something that's passive. Because I'm not talking about putting your money into flipping houses, because that's not passive, right? Now, depending on your risk tolerance or what your investment philosophy is, you may be interested in getting into something like crypto or some other speculative investment. But if you want to do that, it's going to take up way more of your time than it should. And because of this, it's going to make your main income suffer, which means that your net worth will grow slowly or more slower than it otherwise would. So again, it's all about the opportunity cost of where it's going to take your attention. All right. So that is if you were like me, if you own your own business, if you own your own practice, or if you're self-employed. But what about if you're not in that position and you're an employee? Well, let's talk about that. So you could be a physician that's working for a clinic or a hospital. You could be an attorney that's working in a large group or whatever. So the primary objective, if you're an employee, is to focus on, again, same thing over here, increasing your income. You want to increase growing that main source. This means that you should be focused on growing in order to increase your skills, because in turn, that's going to increase your basis. That increases your basic income that you can continue to yield from the marketplace. Again, it's based on your skill set. Now, this is where I think a lot of times people will step over dollars to pick up pennies. So let me explain. Let's say that you're an employee and you're in the process of automatically saving $1,000 a month. Then I'd be actively investing that money each month in the beginning of when you're working or getting going towards making your skills more valuable. The reason being is that if you continue to do that, then a couple of 2, 3 years, you may double or you may even triple your income. Think about that. You've spent all this time, energy, effort, and money learning a particular skill, at which at this point, again, it's the greatest investment you can have. The ability to earn, or what is also known as investing in yourself. This is the key that most don't realize. They're thinking about, oh, what can I put my money in early on? But focusing on investing in yourself. Let me give you an example because I'm in the dental field. If you're an associate dentist, let's say you're making $150,000 a year, then you take some courses or you go to seminars or you do things online and you learn what it takes to become a practice owner. Then once you buy a practice, you can easily double, if not triple, your income or more. And then you can actually turn around, bring in other people, bring in other associates that work for you into the practice. And guess what? Your income, sky's the limit. So think about that. If you could just focus on investing in yourself, developing that one skill in that situation, would that be worth the investment? I think so. So at the end of the day, you're the source of where all the money comes from. Okay. Now, when people don't do this, when people don't invest in themselves, it really doesn't make any sense to me, because personally, I've spent, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of dollars over the last 15 years that I possibly could, gaining access to people, getting membership, getting into programs, mastermind, coaching, buying courses, books, you name it. Some of the stuff has worked, some of it hasn't. But again, I know that for me, investing in myself, because I am the source, I am the main income source driving this. So why wouldn't I continue to invest money? And if I can improve me as the machine that generates this flow of income, then the rest of the stuff becomes easy, right? Another example that we can talk about for employees is to invest in gaining skills so that you'll be more valuable at whatever your company or the business that you work for. And the way that you do this is by tying yourself to revenue streams. That means you basically find ways to generate the company that you work for more money. Let's keep using that dentist example, the associate dentist. So if this person would figure out more ways to generate the practice he works for more money, which, it could be through multiple ways. First and foremost would be to learn the skill sets of marketing and sales. Now, I've told my two teenage boys, and I talk about this all the time, so they're probably sick of it, that acquiring marketing skills and learning how to sell, plus learning impeccable customer service. Think Ritz-Carlton, think Disney, think Four Seasons, those types of places. You do that, you'll succeed in any career path you choose. I don't care if you're a restaurant manager, hotel manager, doctor, plumber, painter, it doesn't matter, whatever. If you treat people better than they expect and you know how to sell, then you've got it made. And if you haven't noticed lately, I don't know about in your area, but customer service now is atrocious. So think about that. Now, I can assure you that if this associate dentist starts to really make the practice he works for a lot more money, then guess what? They'll soon realize that, hey, that losing this person would cost them a whole lot more than it would cost if they would just keep him on instead, right? And how are they going to keep him on? They're going to pay him more, right? So if I could summarize this entire video into one single statement, then it's my opinion that you spend the majority of your time on the vehicle that will increase your net worth the fastest. And for most people, it's going to be increasing their income until the point where they've saved up a sufficient amount of money that they've put into passive investments. Again, for me, I like real estate, specifically the passive real estate syndications. So during your career, as you're working and you're growing your income, you're constantly throwing this money month after month into these types of investments that, again, they don't require much thinking, as they're passively earning you money while, again, you're focused on growing you, the main income source. Then once you get to the point where the potential to earn and increase your net worth is greater through these assets that you've put your money in, okay? So it's greater through those assets that you've been passively investing in instead of your career, then at that point, it makes more sense to switch your attention towards growing these assets than it does to your career. But for most of us, that takes a much longer time down the road. But again, that's how we start to focus our attention. Because now remember, the opportunity cost is going to be shifted away from where your money is generated versus where your wealth is growing. So it's going to make more sense to not focus so much on your career or your job, but to focus more on what you're investing in once you get to that point. And I can assure you, you're not going to hear this advice from the majority of the so-called financial gurus out there. Remember, first, invest in yourself, increase your skills that you're going to generate more income, as it's the highest return that you're going to be able to typically get. And the second is that you continue to put things into truly passive, not what people claim is passive, that are really, when you think about it, side hustles that take up your time, but truly passive investments, low brain activity, low brain vehicle, that you can continue to focus on your main income generator, whatever you do for a living. So I hope you found this video valuable. If you did, do me a favor, click the subscribe button and the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video.